Good morning, Giants. It's good to see your video faces this morning. Wish I could see you in person. I think that'd be more awesome. Like do a morning video call with everybody's faces on would be really good for me. Even though I'm more of an introvert, I need people, you know. This morning I'm thinking pretty deeply about this whole Kickstarter campaign and the process of it. And the idea of letting go of the outcome and understanding that the outcome isn't a guarantee. Whether it's a positive or a negative, it's not a guarantee. The outcome is a possibility in the future. It is something that we hope to accomplish and we work toward. And the only time that, failure would be a guarantee is if we do give up. At that point, there's no activity or energy going into it, so it does die. And so all things kind of need this energy to live, and our attention to things allows them to live. And how they turn out at the end, we hope that they turn out the way that we have in mind, but the reality is we don't get to dictate that fully. However, we can control the activity around it. About a week ago, I was stressing about our Kickstarter campaign, and I wrote about this yesterday about the albatross. And, sometimes you need to taxi to take off. Bigger airplanes and, let's say, goals require some taxiing before you take off. The reality is it took me 11 years to get to this point. For this dream to take off like it did, it took a lot of work to get the artwork, to get the story edited, to have beta readers and do all those things. What happens is we look at the outcome, we're like, I wouldn't have made it anyway. I would have failed. And then we create that by not putting the activity into it, the energy into it. And so we guarantee a failure in a sense. The only time failure is guaranteed is if we quit. And so, I look at this book, and I started it in 2008, 2009. I started having coaching. I started writing the book, I think, in early 2009. I finished writing it probably by 2011, started looking for an illustrator, found one around 2013, 2014. 2014, I did my first Kickstarter, tried to raise $10,000, ended up raising $800, so that didn't go as planned. Got into a space where I had to go back to work, go back to school. I had to, made the decision to, because I thought it would benefit my family, so put everything on hold. So 2014, 15, for another 6 years, I did my master's degree. And then, last year, about 2 years ago, finally picked this back up and started working on it again on this book. Was able to pay the illustrator 1 month at a time, one illustration at a time for a full year. And then after that, had beta readers and editors and everybody go through this. But the activity was there. There was a point where I put it down and set it aside for a minute, but I never let the dream go fully. But in the last little bit, what some people see as a rocket ship, in the last week, yes, was a rocket ship, but it took me 11 years to taxi to that point where I could actually take off. And our campaign funded, and there's still a lot of work to do. This book isn't in your hands yet. And so for me now, once the Kickstarter funds today, then I've got to go to work on getting it re-edited, laid out anyway, and then off to the printers, which is another 60 to 90 days from today, before the books actually arrive at my doorstep. And then it's the distribution to you guys. And then there's still a continuation from there of getting it out to market and selling it on the website and opening up coaching, training, retreats, seminars, things like that. And so there's still this vision of the future. And the only time that out there would end is if I say today it's too much, I can't do it, I'm out, and I shut it off. I shut off the energy to that. Because as soon as I shut it off, that whole possibility goes away. But what we think is, there's too much effort in there, I'll probably fail anyway. That's not a guarantee. You might put the effort in and be pleasantly surprised at the outcome. You know, a week ago, we were at 45% of our goal. We asked a gentleman who does marketing, what should we do? He says, pray, because there's definitely no chance we're funding this in 10 days. And so we start doing everything and anything we can to push it, and we get some traction, and then somebody else comes in and says, hey, try this, and we do that, and it just launches again even further. And we just keep pushing day in, day out, asking, pushing towards this outcome of having this Kickstarter fund. And here today, we're over our goal, you know, by enough that we can go to print and do everything that we had in mind for this book. Letting go of the outcome. You know, it was about a week and a half ago that I had a friend say, hey, you need to step back and let go of the outcome. By doing that, by not trying to control the outcome, I was able to relax a little more and open up to ideas I maybe would have been closed off to in the past. And so by letting go of the outcome, by just trusting that it is, whatever it is, it already is, in a sense, there for me. What I can control is my activity that could lead to that outcome. And so I want to take every possible action that I can to create that. And what I've learned about creating is that you don't control that, the outcome, you control the activity. And by controlling the activity, you look at every possibility and you put energy into it. And if it feeds and it grows, then you put more energy into that one. It's like a fractal on a lightning. You know, when plasma comes out of the sky here and it finds the path of least resistance and the most efficient path, you see this bolt of lightning, but you also see all these branches that come out. And that's all energy going out from that source. And so some of them are less effective than others. You look at a tree branch, for example, same idea. You've got the trunk and the branch and the smaller branch and the twigs, and they all branch out looking for an efficient flow. And your activity kind of runs the same way. As you find flows that are more effective than others, you put more energy into those, and they get bigger and they flow more easily. And so that's what happened with us, is we had a bunch of branches out there of activity, of things that we could do, and some were effective and some were not. And the ones that were less effective, we pulled energy from those and we put it to the ones that were more effective. And the ones that were the most effective got the most energy. And that's kind of how it works in life, is we just put activity or energy into activity. And as you can see, the outcome is amazing. You know, it's not always a guarantee that it'll turn out that way. But man, it gave us a high chance of creating that, and we did. And so now the next step is to go to print. And our goal, my goal long term, is to take this book to a publisher. And what I've been doing is establishing a foundation so that a publisher can see that I have a following. And by having a following, they're more likely to look at me for publishing. And so that's what I'm creating. That's why I'm not on Amazon. I'm doing a Kickstarter because it's not out to the mass market yet. That could hinder my chances of getting in with a publisher. And so the reason I want a publisher is mass distribution. And so I have these goals. And the thing is if I say it's impossible to get a publisher and I don't put any energy into that, then yeah, it's impossible. Not going to happen. But I have the target in mind. It's a possibility that I can have a publisher. And so I'm taking actions now that could lead to that as a potential. And so letting go of the outcome, knowing it's there, setting it as an intention, setting it as a target, but letting go of that, of having to have it that way, and then putting your attention back on the activity is probably the most effective. Like today, I'll be working on figuring out the next steps on this. As we finish our campaign today, I'll be working on getting those next steps in place, so the printing and the layout and design. And so think about that for your life, though. You know, just as a wrap up, what goal do you have in mind? Hang on to that, but don't control it. And what activities or actions can you take to get you toward that give you the most probability of getting there, and take action on those? And which of those are the most efficient? Can you put more energy into the things that are more efficient? And can you let go of the outcome and focus on the activities? So that's it. Hopefully, you know, I kind of wrap around. I'll do it maybe 2 or 3 times. I don't mean to do that, but I do. And so maybe I'll work on shifting that. Go make it a giant day today. Keep your ideas and your dreams and visions out there, but control what you do today. You can do that. So hope you guys make it a giant day, and I'll see you on the next video.